Friendly Hedgehog Books presents Old Roads, New Friends, Reflections on El Camino de Santiago by Adam G. Fleming, with a foreword by Dr. Jonathan Bornman, narrated by Adam G. Fleming. Copyright Friendly Hedgehog Books, 2022. Dedication, Foreword, and Preface. Dedication. For my dear friend Slobodanka Sammy Blagojevich, who tattooed the title of this book on her wrist even before I began to write it. Foreword by Dr. Jonathan Bornman, social anthropologist and filmmaker, March 2022. Dear reader, what you have here is a pilgrim's collection of thoughts and ideas upon which he has ruminated while walking along a path, sometimes alone and often with other travelers. Making a pilgrimage on El Camino de Santiago de Compostela has perhaps only one rule: walk your own Camino. My Camino, walked just 2 months prior to Adam's, was a spiritual pilgrimage. My internal understanding was that each step of the 315 kilometers of the Camino Primitivo route was a step towards Jesus. Except for a few hours I walked the path alone, enjoying conversation and fellowship in the evening with other pilgrims. It was surprising how important these Camino friends became to me and how much I enjoyed meeting up with them every few days. These new friends became my community. We checked on each other, asking, "Did you see so-and-so?" or "How are your feet?" It seemed that most understood the rule, walk your own Camino, and we were all better for it. At first I gave nearly all my attention to following the yellow arrows that guide pilgrims along the path. But as days went by, following the markers became almost second nature. Eventually, sometime in my second week of walking, the idea crossed my mind that maybe something much more profound was going on. A line from a poem I did not even know that I knew came to mind. There is no path. Paths are made by walking. The first pilgrim to walk El Camino Primitivo was King Alphonse II sometime in the late 800s. Since then, pilgrims have followed the route he took. I assumed that I too was just following the path, and then came the thought that if there were no pilgrims, the path would soon be overgrown and disappear. Pilgrims like me are not following the path, but rather we are creating it. Our intention to set out on pilgrimage puts our bodies in motion and our feet take steps to keep up with our spirits. Adam conceptualizes Old Roads and New Friends as a creative space where new things and new friendships spring into being. French philosopher Michel de Certeau says that these social spaces only exist as long as there are people moving their bodies through that space. I propose that these essays are the fruit of this Old Roads, New Friends social space. Reading them now, outside of that space that only exists when you are walking El Camino, these essays seem to come from another world. Even the strange new vocabulary Adam has created is only strange because we are trying to peer into a space that no longer exists. The invitation to write this foreword comes because of a long friendship. Adam and I first met at church, but our friendship began when he came to visit our family in Senegal in 2005. Part of the time was spent just sharing life together, and part of the trip was a journey along the Atlantic coast, exploring rocks and sea. We visited with stone carvers, and we spent hours talking about anything and everything. That journey set the tone for a lifelong relationship. Sometimes we have gone years without encountering one another. Recently, a funeral brought me to Goshen, where Carol and I stayed in Adam and Megan's home for over a week. We are old friends, now venturing over new roads. My last day on the Camino I walked entirely alone. I did not even glimpse any of my new friends. Approaching the city of Santiago and walking the last hour in an urban setting was disorienting after hundreds of kilometers in the countryside. I got a bit lost, but eventually found the street that leads into the Grand Plaza in front of the cathedral. Entering the plaza, suddenly I heard clapping, then people calling my name. In the center of the plaza were 3 of my friends from the trail. As I approached, they began to cheer and finally greeted me with huge hugs. Old Roads, New Friends offers a glimpse of the vitality of life on El Camino, and perhaps an invitation to live on pilgrimage wherever we find ourselves if we so choose. Walk your own Camino and cheer.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?